Okay, well that's not very pretty, but that's okay. So I thought this was our pulmonary trunk. So if we were to follow this down, where would you expect the pulmonary trunk to end up? No.
Atrium?
Which one?
The right
Pulmonary
atrium?
trunk
No.
would be in the right ventricle.
Right
I mean,
ventricle.
atrium.
Ventricle.
Ventricle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, are we in the right ventricle?
Yes.
Yeah, see the little right ventricle compared to the thicker myocardial lining of the left ventricle. So this is the pulmonary trunk, therefore this is the anterior, making this the posterior. Other holes, I suspect this is the, both of these actually, are the aorta. Where would you expect that to be?
The aorta's coming out of the right, I mean left ventricle.
And here we are in the left ventricle, so that is the aorta. Okay. This goes in the same spot, so I know it. The aorta comes out in loops, and they just cut off the top of the loop. Other openings, I would expect there to be a superior inferior vena cava right here, with this being the superior vena cava and this being the inferior vena cava. Where does that end up? Where do they dump into?
The right atrium.
The right atrium. If I were to dig in the right ventricle up through the valves, I'm in the right atrium, and sure enough, that's where it is. So this is the superior and inferior vena cava. Unfortunately, they always cut those off pretty close to the heart. I'd rather them leave a piece, but they don't. So what else is on that list? You have it.
Apex and the base.
Okay, so we know the apex is located down here, and the base is right here, where all the large vessels come off. Next.
Interventricular septum.
Okay, when you open up the heart, the interventricular septum is the septum that separates the two ventricles, so this is it right here. Okay? Or right here. Next.
The interatrial septum.
Okay, if you move up, you'll find between the two atria a similar septum, and it's going to follow suit. I'm pinching it right now. It's between the two atria. But it's just the wall between the two. Next.
Atrioventricular valves.
Okay, where's the AV valves? Well, we know they're located between the atria and the ventricles, so we'll start with the right. Here's the right ventricle, and here's the right atrium. So both of them are right here. So when I open that up, what I find are these cusps. Do you see these cusps?
No.
These fibrous, I mean, you find the strings, the chordae tendineae, and they're attached to the cusps. So this is actually the three cusps, the tricuspid. 1, 2, 3. Does everybody see that? 3. The other AV valve is going to be between the left ventricle and the left atria. The atria is up here where my finger is. So when I open this up, I'm looking for the left AV valve, and there it is, right there. So this is the valve. Next.
Semilunar valves.
Okay, semilunar valves are going to be heading out of the ventricles up into the pulmonary trunk, so that's the first one. Well, let's go back to our pulmonary trunk, and here it is. So if we follow this down, we'll be into the left ventricle, but prior to that, we have to go through the valve. So if I open that up, inside of there, I see a valve. Do you see it? There it is. Yes, no? Do you see it? Okay, I don't, let's see if we can get a better look at it. It's going to be right. Well, if you know where it's at, you can find it. In fact, let me cut pulmonary trunk open. See if that helps. Cut some more. So I open that up. You see the valve? Right here. That's it. What's next? Oh, we didn't find the other one. The other one's going up into the aorta, so let's find the aorta again. Here it is, and it's heading down into the left ventricle. I've actually cut that in such a way to where you can easily identify that valve. So it's in here. It's right here. There's a cusp. There's a cusp, and there'd be one here as well, since it is a tricuspid valve. Right there it is. Okay, next.
The ventricular features, trabecular carni.
Trabeculae carni. These are bands of muscles in the ventricles. So when you get down in the ventricles, do you see how these bands of muscles, especially in this left one, you see how these bands kind of, I don't know, it always reminds me of Freddy Krueger's face. If you've ever, right? That burn, scarred. That's what it reminds me of, but the bands, the trabeculae carni.
Papillary muscles.
Papillary muscles. For that, you need to find a chordae tendineae. When you find a chordae tendineae, follow it down to a papillary muscle. Let me see if I can find a good one. Nope. This would be one right here. What you're looking for is just where the chordae tendineae attach. Usually it's a little mound. So follow a chordae tendineae down to a muscle, down to a mound. Wherever they attach, that's the papillary muscle. Next.
Chordae tendineae.
I already said that. The strands. Pectinate. Pectinate muscles are going to be up in the ventricles, or the atria rather. When you get up into the atria, look at the body wall. Let's cut this open. And up here, the wall is made up of pectinate muscles. So these are the ridges within the atria as they form. Yes.
Left tricuspid auricle.
The auricles are flaps that are associated with the atria. They're like little backflow pouches. So here, this would be the right one. It's this flap that comes off the atria, and then the left one is over here. There. That's it. All right, go through these again. Somebody else take lead.